right, let's talk about M&M Farm. Mr. Vijay Nakra, President Farm Equipment Business, Mahindra and Mahindra, is joining us live. Hi, good morning and welcome to the show. All right, tractor industry has seen strong double-digit growth for 2 consecutive months now. Is this a demand pull or channel restocking, and how are dealer inventories currently positioned? If you could just throw some light on that.
I think the good news is that in the last 2 weeks, we've seen significant revival with the monsoons. And I think all the parameters are pretty positive. Whether you look at the long period average deficit of rain, it has come down to about 14%. Reservoir levels are healthy. And the sentiment on the ground is extremely positive. So as we know that typically there are two seasons in the agri cycle, the two large seasons. We are currently in the Kharif season. So the demand currently is primarily driven by positive ground sentiment. So the numbers of growth that you are seeing are primarily driven by demand on the ground and not stocking up of the channel. So as you will, the numbers that we are putting into the channel is also seeing a throughput into the end customers. And given the monsoon revival, there has been a delay in the sowing season. And hence, actually, the season has got a little bit extended. So this is a positive sentiment. The numbers are positive, which are demand driven and not driven only by filling the channel.
So export growth slowed to just 3% year on year in July versus 8% in June. Which markets do you think are under pressure, and what's the outlook for the rest of FY27?
The global market is pretty dynamic and volatile at the moment. So we have some very strong markets where the export numbers continue to remain strong. However, we do see headwinds in some of the large markets globally. North America, as an industry, 17 out of the last 18 quarters have seen a degrowth, and even that one quarter where there was a growth, the industry grew only about 1%. However, we continue to perform well, and we continue to be the number 3 player in the largest segment, which is the less than 20 horsepower segment in the US. Brazil has also seen some headwinds in terms of industry degrowth. The industry has degrown about 11% in Brazil. And that's largely because of delay of fund release by the government in the market. But again, there we've gained over 2 percentage points market share in Brazil. Turkey, which is another very large market where we have a strong presence, the industry has degrown almost 50% in Turkey. But again, there we've gained close to 1.5% market share. So some of these large global tractor markets are seeing headwinds, and there is degrowth, which has impacted our export numbers. But if we leave these 3 markets out, what we call the rest of the world, we've seen a very, very significant growth in those markets, primarily driven by demand in Africa and South Asia.
Cumulated YTD tractor volumes are up 19% given the weak Q2 volume guidance. What's your revised full-year domestic volume growth expectation now?
So firstly, I just wanted to correct, we've not given any guidance for Q2. All we've said is that the Q1 has been strong. The month of July also as an industry, we believe will be strong, while the industry numbers are not yet out. And that's largely because the sowing season has gone well. What we've said is that we hold on to our full year outlook that we've given of mid-single digit growth. And that's largely because first season has been strong. We still need to wait to see how the monsoon will play out for the rest of the year and the reservoir levels, because the second sowing season in some parts of the country or large parts of the country will be dependent on reservoir levels. So we still need to wait to see that, number one. Number two, what we had said is that there is a base effect from last year, which will come in quarter three and quarter four, because last year the industry had seen significant growth in quarter three, quarter four after the reduction in excise duty. As far as quarter two is concerned, the only thing we had said is that this year, the festive season, which is when the second real big bout in terms of industry growth happens, is now moved into quarter three, because last year Navratras had started in September. This year, the whole season has moved into October. So that's why we had said that quarter two would be a little muted. Quarter three and quarter four would have base effects coming in. And as a result of all of this, with a strong quarter one, the overall performance for the year we hold on to, which is mid-single digit growth for the industry.
Right, Mr. Nakra, now you cited El Nino risks in June, but struck a more positive tone in July on rainfall recovery. How has the Kharif sowing picture evolved, and what does this mean for H2 demand?
So, like I was saying, the sowing season has been delayed because of the delay in the monsoons. But if you look at the latest data that have been published, you can see that the sowing in the Kharif season compared to last year now is only lower by 4%. And if you look at the main crop, which is paddy, the deficit is only about 2%. And in fact, sugarcane is higher than last year. So I think these are positive signs. And I'm sure you may be aware, but on Friday evening, the World Meteorological Organization put out a report saying that while there are the impact of El Nino is something to keep in mind. They've also said that there is a positive dipole that is being formed in the Bay of Bengal, which to some extent will reduce the impact of El Nino. So I think these are some positive signs showing or going forward where we can see recovery in sowing and also a potential offset of the risk of El Nino going forward.
Right. Higher HP mix is at almost 69 to 70% of industry. Now, is Mahindra over or under indexed to this mix? And what's your strategy to capture share in this segment?
So firstly, we don't share information by horsepower category, but we are a national leader, and we at a farm business level, we are leaders even in the 40 to 50 horsepower segment. And yes, that is now the largest segment, and it has in fact in the last year or so increased from the early 60% now coming to about 68, 69%. And that's largely been driven by farm mechanization that's happening in India. Number one. Number two, also with the reduction in GST, higher horsepower tractors become more affordable. So the consumers prefer to buy a larger horsepower tractor, keeping the longer term requirement of mechanization going forward. As far as we are concerned, in the month of April, May, we had put out that we have 7 new launches besides 12 refreshes during the year. And 4 out of those 7 new launches are in the above 40 horsepower segment. And we've already launched that in the very first Kharif season. So we are leaders, and we, with the kind of products and the portfolio of offerings that we will have for our consumers, we will only further strengthen our position in the industry.
Right, so that's the outlook we are getting on M&M Farms. Thank you very much for joining us at this moment.